It was April 1st, and Pitt drove tiredly along the dusty road toward the family cottage he shared with his wife, Patricia. He'd just finished a 3-hour drive from his last job, and the cabin was conveniently on his way home. Patty was supposed to meet him there, but he'd left later than planned, and now found himself driving in the dark. His new gig as a traveling college professor kept him apart from his wife, so he eagerly anticipated this weekend. Patty, freed from her demanding nursing job, was meant to arrive the day before to stock up the cottage. With her captivating brown eyes and slender yet fit figure, she often turned heads in her nurse's uniform. Pitt and Patty first crossed paths 7 years ago at his brother Tom's college graduation. Patty, newly enrolled in the nursing program, had come to support her friend Marcia, also graduating. Since Tom was dating Marcia, the four ended up having dinner together, and Pitt and Patty immediately hit it off. Despite Patty's limited carnal experience, Pitt was more than willing to guide her. Their connection led to marriage just 10 months later. Pitt was drawn to Patty's magnetic personality. She was endlessly outgoing and effortlessly made friends. Lately, they'd been discussing starting a family and finding a home of their own instead of renting. Arriving at the cottage, Pitt turned off onto a narrow road leading to a small lake. But to his surprise, Patty's car wasn't there. He considered calling her, but the weak cell signal in the mountains made it futile. After parking, he retrieved his bag and headed to the door, knowing where the spare key was hidden. Inside, he noticed it seemed deserted for quite some time. With darkness falling and a long drive ahead through the mountainous terrain, he opted to wait, thinking he might have misjudged Patty's arrival time. Then it hit him. It was April Fool's Day. They often teased each other on this day. Perhaps Patty planned to arrive later or wait until the next morning. Despite considering leaving, he chose to stay a bit longer. However, upon further inspection, he found no provisions stocked in the house. Frustrated, he decided to leave. As he stepped out of the house, he noticed headlights approaching along the road, assuming it was his wife's car. However, as the vehicle drew nearer, he realized it was a blonde in a red sports car. "Did she take that joke too far?" he whispered to himself, addressing no one in particular. The compact car came to a halt at the entrance, and the window rolled down. "Are you Pitt Avery?" inquired the young woman. He chuckled. "I see. It's an April Fool's joke. Ha ha. I'll go along with it. Yes, I'm Pitt." Stepping out of the car, she struck a pose. "I'm not joking. I was hired to deliver this to you and wait for you to read it." She handed him a sealed envelope. "She didn't mention I was being served," he mused, still thinking it was part of the prank. "Pitt, darling, first and foremost, I want to express that today I love you more than ever. I believe we have a flawless marriage, and I've never entertained thoughts of lovemaking with anyone else. Though many men have made advances, my loyalty to you has never wavered. However, recently, I found myself drawn to a new doctor at the university hospital. It's not love, dear, just a passing desire. I feel compelled to act on it to clear my mind. He's married with a young son, so there's no prospect of anything beyond this momentary attraction. He's as committed to his wife as I am to you. Today, I've left town with him for the weekend to address this urge and ensure neither of us strays into a serious affair. I've engaged Chantel, a high-end escort, to ensure you experience a similar level of passion. Since I can't bear the thought of her being with you in our bed, I've arranged for a remote cabin instead. I'll be back home by 6 p.m. on Sunday, refreshed and ready to continue our life together. We'll never speak of this weekend and pretend it never occurred. I hope and pray you understand my need for this. I'm confident our love is resilient enough to carry us through this and beyond. My love is solely for you." Patty's postscript. "I'm without a phone, so please refrain from trying to contact or locate me." He read through the letter once more, confirming its authenticity. "Got a pen?" he asked. She grinned. "Sure, but you don't have to sign." "No, but you'll sign after I jot down that you delivered this to me with instructions from my wife, Patty Avery, and that she paid you to have closeness with me and I declined. Just sign with your real name. I'll need to check your driver's license to confirm." "I'll sign, but do you realize what you're turning down?" She chuckled, twirling to showcase her figure. He grabbed a pen from his briefcase and penned his statement. She frowned. "You're certain?" He brushed off her question. "Now be cautious on your way back, as there are many animals on the road at night. And don't tell my wife I refused, otherwise she won't ask for a refund. My lips are sealed. Are you sure there's nothing I can do for you? You seem sweet and very likable." "No thanks. I have a lot to plan." She presented her driver's license and signed the letter. "Mind if I stay the night? I'm nervous about driving back along the dark road, she asked, revealing her name as Sarah Davis. He considered the risk. Okay, Sarah Davis, but strictly platonic, and you'll sleep in a separate room. Any attempts at lovemaking? And you're out. Wow, this is a first for me. This is great. I'm now considering becoming an escort since my college payment is due next week. I'm soon graduating from college with a degree in textile engineering. Is it true my friend is hiring textile engineers? Pass me your resume after you graduate from college and I'll see what I can do, she suggested. He noticed her smile, but extended his hand. Sorry, no physical contact. That evening, they shared food and drinks from the 3 bags Patty had instructed her to bring. They sat by the fireplace as he recounted his high school sweetheart-turned-wife and their once-ideal romance, now tarnished. They soon relaxed, free from any pressure related to closeness, and bonded immediately. She proved to be a compassionate listener, sympathizing with his situation as a betrayed husband. He discussed their plans to start a family after she earned her master's degree in nursing and their aspirations to move out of their small, rented apartment into a house. She noticed tears welling in his eyes, and breaking her promise not to touch him, Pitt finally succumbed, hiding his face from her view. Yet, as she moved to embrace him, he found himself yielding to her arms. There was no hint of desire or lovemaking in this moment. She simply sought to ease his anguish. "Let it out," she encouraged, and for the next few minutes, he did just that before pulling away. "I still won't," he asserted. "I know. That's one of the things I admire about you. Now, may I share my story?" "Of course. We have all night," he replied. "I was born into poverty in the mountains of Kentucky. My father toiled as a miner, and my mother took in laundry to make ends meet. Despite excelling in school, I began working odd jobs at 12 while my peers dated and socialized. I had to balance work with studies, and being flat-chested and slender, I attracted little attention from guys. Surprisingly, I entered college as a Vestal, earning a scholarship for my prowess in math and science. However, to cover expenses and buy a car, I continued working. As I progressed through college, my body changed, and I started receiving date invitations. Pausing to sip from the wine they had found, she continued, "Lacking experience with guys, I made several missteps, and they exploited me. I believed they cared for me, only to realize they sought only closeness. Eventually, I encountered someone who seemed genuine. He didn't rush physical lovemaking, waiting until the 3rd date to even attempt a kiss. Everything appeared promising until the Christmas break. He returned home without a word, leaving me in doubt. Yet, upon his return to school, he acted as if the hiatus never occurred. It took time, but I forgave him, and we began a physical relationship. One evening, I confessed my love to him, but he didn't reciprocate verbally. Though he showed affection, he never voiced it, so I confronted him about it. He broke down in tears, apologizing for keeping me as his girlfriend here while he had another girlfriend back home whom he proposed to. He admitted enjoying his time with me, but couldn't decide, so I made the decision for him." "You kicked his rusty dusty?" Pitt chuckled. "Oh, absolutely, right in front of our friends at the dinner table. But it left me disillusioned with relationships. Feeling the need for financial stability, my roommate suggested escorting. Initially, it was purely non-carnal, but the income wasn't sufficient, so I began providing manual pleasure. They didn't offer enough to engage in sleeping with someone until your wife offered me $3,000 to spend the weekend with you. She mentioned your prowess in bed and your above-average size, and here we are. But if I'm as skilled in bed as she claims, why resort to this? I even questioned her, and she brushed it off as a peculiar whim, citing his relentless pursuit to keep her. She hired me to level the playing field." They lapsed into silence, reclining against the pillows, watching embers ascend the chimney. He draped his arm around her shoulders, planting a kiss on her forehead. "Thank you. You've made the worst day of my life a tad better." She turned to meet his gaze. "She's foolish and reckless for risking losing you like this. Let me tell you, good men are hard to come by. I just wish I could find you after this and embark on a new life." They hugged tighter, soon drifting off to sleep in each other's embrace. The following morning, Sarah awoke to the enticing aroma of sizzling bacon and found Pitt tending to the stove. Smells delicious," she remarked, rolling over to face him. He turned, asking, "How do you like your eggs?" "Scrambled, like our entire life now," she quipped, and they shared a laugh. He prepared some toast and brought the laden plates to the table. "I've brewed some coffee if you're interested." "Yes, please, but I really need to use the bathroom," she groaned, heading toward the nearest door and twisting the knob. Don't pee in the closet, he teased with a grin. You're making it hard, she retorted, crossing her legs and hurrying in small steps. That door, he indicated the next one on the right. And while you're there, could you remove all that makeup and let your hair down? Boy, you're full of surprises, she grinned, quickening her pace. He heard the rush of water, and after a few minutes, she emerged looking natural, shedding the guise of Chantel for Sarah. Her skin glowed with a healthy flush, and her light brown hair cascaded freely. Much better. Why? I mean, didn't I at least turn you on? Hell yes. I'd have to be dead not to feel aroused. I just want to see Sarah, not Chantel Pitt Avery. Do you always say the right things? She remarked, indulging in a hearty meal, unconcerned with her appearance. For once, I forgot how good bacon tastes, she remarked, assisting with the cleanup and retrieving her suitcase. I think it's time for me to bid farewell, he announced, stepping toward the door and blocking her path. Considering my wife paid you to spend the entire weekend with me, how about staying? But you said no closeness, she reminded him. I can't just wait around for her cheating self to return after betting that idiot of a doctor. So, I'd prefer you stay, and we can use the time to get to know each other better. But I can't engage in closeness with you. That would make me no better than her, she protested. All right, but what shall we do? I'd enjoy talking to you, and I believe there are card and board games in the closet outside the bedroom. We can also take a stroll and maybe go for a swim, he suggested. But I didn't bring a swimsuit, she noted with a smile. I said no closeness. Watching and fooling around isn't so bad, especially since I plan to divorce her once we return, he disclosed. Agreed, Mr. Avery. Please, call me Pitt. Where did that name come from? When I was born, my face resembled a pit bulldog's wrinkles, and my parents found it amusing. They could have named me Pug, which isn't much better, he chuckled. Your face looks rather handsome now, she teased. Who's speaking, Chantel or Sarah? Chantel's done. Please, refrain from calling me that, she requested. Agreed. Patty felt nervous after writing a note to her husband and handing it to the escort. Dr. Evan gave her $2,000, but she topped it up with her personal funds to ensure she secured a reputable, clean escort. Opting for one who was inexperienced carnal was a bonus. She didn't want to risk contracting any carnal-transmitted diseases. The paramour she planned to meet this weekend was set to pick her up around 6 in the evening. Pitt had written to her early that morning to confirm his arrival at the cottage shortly before dusk. Chantel affirmed her arrival just after dark. Initially hesitant to risk losing her true love, Pitt, she relented after persuasion from Dr. Evan Peters, who assured her that with an expensive escort, he would level the playing field and accept her. Her intention was for just one weekend so they could proceed with their plans of buying a house and starting a family. Both sets of parents cherished Pitt like their own son and vice versa. Everything was going well until she started feeling uneasy. When Dr. Evan Peters arrived, she resisted until he cornered her in a storage room and kissed her. Their kissing session lasted for some time, and as he departed, he whispered, "Now you are mine." Evan arrived punctually, dressed casually. She hesitated to let him into the house, but he brushed past her, casually inspecting the premises. Not bad for a teacher and future head nurse. A bit cozy, he remarked. Dr. Peters, we need to leave. I don't want the neighbors spotting us here anymore, she urged. Eager to get me into bed, huh? He teased with a grin. Actually, I've been craving it since this morning and need to tend to it before we go. And please, call me Dr. Evan now, he insisted. I don't think so. I want to leave immediately, she hesitated. Patty. I paid you handsomely to keep your betrayed husband occupied, so you can do as I ask, right? Realizing her obligation, she felt a twisted excitement at being instructed to commit such a vile act. Okay here? She asked, reaching for his zipper. My husband isn't weak, and if you say anything more about him, our weekend is over, she warned. Not here, in your bed, he countered, hurling insults at her husband. No, please, not there. Anywhere else, she pleaded. Not an option. Look, if you don't want to please me here, why should I go away with you for 2 days? Reluctantly, she led him to the bedroom, where he began undressing. What are you doing? I thought you might want to see and touch my body first, she remarked, observing him disrobe. He sported an even tan, a flat stomach, and decent-sized biceps. But in the crucial department, he was average or below. Undressed, he reclined on the bed, hands behind his neck. Well, this wasn't what she envisioned. It was meant to be romantic. Roses, gentle caresses, massages, and plenty of foreplay. Instead, she fulfilled his desires. With closed eyes, he proceeded to humiliate Pitt. I bet your husband can't arouse you like I do now. Just think, you get this body for 3 days and 2 nights. Afterward, she hurried to the bathroom, locking the door behind her. Mr. Hothunk transformed from Dr. Hyde to Mr. Jekyll. Gathering herself, she returned to find him undressed on the marital bed. "We're done. I warned you not to speak ill of Pitt," she declared, snatching her clothes and exiting the room. "Damn," Evan muttered, hastily dressing. He realized he shouldn't have gone too far before reaching the resort, but he believed he still had the charm to win her back. Patty stood at the kitchen sink, tears welling in her eyes as she thought about her loving husband in bed with another woman, experimenting with things they never had. As dusk approached, she realized it was too late to intervene at the cottage. Her thoughts were interrupted by Evan's footsteps behind her. "Patty, baby, I'm so sorry about this. I thought you liked me being assertive. I promise never to mention him again. Let's start fresh and make this the best weekend ever." She felt his fingers massage her shoulders and leaned into him. "I don't want you to be assertive. I just want to feel loved by another man," she confessed, feeling his hands move from her shoulders to her chest. She considered asking him to leave, but realized she had already crossed a line. "Nothing more until we reach the resort," she insisted. After a lengthy walk, Pitt watched as Sarah began to remove her jeans to go swimming. "Look away," she blushed. He chuckled. "You must be kidding. How many men have seen you undressed?" "Screw you," she snapped, pulling on her jeans. "I told you Chantel is gone and only Sarah remains," she declared tearfully, fleeing the house. "Sarah, please stop. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have laughed or said that. I see you're not Chantel anymore. I enjoyed meeting Sarah and want to get to know her better. But tell me, have men ever paid to sleep with you?" "I wasn't lying. You were supposed to be my last escort. Even then, I planned to have a lot of wine first. That was until I met you. Like I said, nice guys are hard to find. Let's start fresh. Hi, I'm Pitt. Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah. How about we stroll around this beautiful lake?" They did just that, hand in hand, sharing their likes and dislikes. Both shared a love for Elton John and CCR. They also had a passion for cooking and Mexican cuisine. Upon their return, they were both hot and sweaty. "Sarah, how about a swim in our underwear?" "Sure, I'd love to." She didn't need to ask him to turn around. He did it himself. He waited, hearing her steps and laughter. "Haha, hurry up and catch me." Turning around, he shed his jeans and t-shirt and joined the playful chase. She sported only a tiny pink bra and matching strap underwear, giving the illusion of nudity with the strap underwear buried in her beautiful backside. "Wow, it's so cold," she exclaimed, taking the first step into the chilly water. As she turned toward him, his body collided with hers, sending them both into the water with a splash. He swiftly pulled her up, but she managed to swallow some water. "Cough," he instructed, delivering a few hearty pats to her back. Thankfully, the water was shallow, and she followed his advice, coughing until she smiled and pulled him in for a passionate kiss. Their underwear was soaked, seemingly vanished. Soon, the cold water became a distant sensation as their tongues intertwined and their hands explored. "I have flowers and champagne in the trunk," Evan whispered as they headed towards the resort. Her phone buzzed, and she panicked, realizing she forgot to leave it at home. Expecting to see Pitt's name, she found it was just a spam call. She quickly powered off her phone to prevent tracking through apps. "Find your phone," she mumbled, closing her eyes and grappling with the image of Pittsburgh with the enchanting Chantel. "Oh God, what have I done?" A few tears trickled down her cheeks. A song echoed in her mind. It's too late to turn back now. Evan checked in at the office, and moments later they arrived at the house. "Here we are, beautiful," he remarked, noticing her wiping her eyes. "Are you okay?" She couldn't meet his gaze. "Evan, I can't go through with this. I'm so sorry. I'll give you what you paid for, Chantel." "Damn," he muttered softly, suppressing his anger as he reclined in his chair. "I understand, but the damage is done. He knows you're here with me now, so you might as well enjoy yourself. Either he has closeness with her or explodes. Either way, you better relax and figure out a plan to meet him on Sunday night. I won't force you into anything you don't want. And if you decide to go home tomorrow, I'll take you back." "Really? You won't get mad and tell everyone at work?" she questioned. "No, damn it, I don't want anyone at work spilling to my wife," he retorted. "Okay, I'll stay tonight and decide about Sunday. But let's not do anything too drastic." He grinned, realizing he still had a shot at experiencing the woman's enticing body. Yet, for the first time, he grasped the potential consequence of an enraged husband contacting his wife. That was foolish. After the kiss, Sarah pulled back, giggling, and gestured towards the house, beckoning him to follow with a crook of her index finger. Observing his wet underpants, she discerned Patty hadn't exaggerated about his size. She had never been with someone so well endowed. Now he could admire her supple pink backside and ample chest. She certainly didn't resemble a textile engineer. Intelligence and beauty paired well, but catering to many men and engaging in paid handjobs posed a significant drawback. This realization swiftly dampened his arousal. Rushing inside the house, he kindled logs in the fireplace while she fetched towels. Once the fire crackled, he turned to find her standing completely undressed, offering a large white towel. "Dry me, and I'll return the favor." His fingers trembled as he caressed the soft fabric over her shoulders and arms. That feels amazing," she murmured. She had never felt such exhilaration with a man. Gliding the towel down her sleek back to the cleft of her backside, he marveled at her beauty. "You're so wet," he whispered, withdrawing his fingers from the towel and guiding them beneath her bottom. "Oh, God, Pitt," she moaned, turning to meet his gaze, her lips glistening. "Please." Although she begged men, she didn't allow them the same liberties with her. Sensing his intent as his eyes closed and his mouth drew near, she recognized his uniqueness. By the time Evan and Patty returned from dinner next door, darkness had fallen. Switching on her phone, Patty anticipated a message from Pitt, but found none. "Well, he didn't rush home," she remarked. "He's clearly enjoying the present," Evan commented, stepping behind her to massage her shoulders. "Chantel is adept at seduction." Patty closed her eyes, leaning back against him. "Have you ever, been with Chantel?" "No, and she was truthful about not engaging with anyone she knows. My colleagues say she simply provides immense pleasure. She doesn't reciprocate or kiss on the lips. This might be her first time consenting to sleeping with someone." "Consenting? If I didn't know she was an escort, I might have fallen for her easily." "Oh God, no," Patty gasped. "This is what I feared. He can't fall for her." As his hands left her shoulders to wander lower, fondling her chest gently, she pushed him away and pivoted. "I want to leave, Evan." "Will you abandon me like this?" Taking her hand, he pressed it against him. "The deed is done, so let's enjoy ourselves and strategize on winning Pitt back. I feel accountable and want to assist." "Come closer," he urged, drawing her towards his sturdy frame. "I need to call him and clarify that I didn't sleep with you. I'll forgive him since I hired an escort. He should be back home tomorrow morning. I trust he loves me enough to understand it was a lapse." "I'm sure it'll work out," Evan fibbed. Suddenly, her body betrayed her as she pressed her lips to his neck. "We can just embrace each other. But first, I need a shower. Care to join?" She yearned to soap and rinse his impressive physique. "Yes," he replied promptly, aware that with enough play and kisses, he'd eventually have her. Here she was in a romantic cabin with the man she admired and desired. Patty felt hot water cascade from her forehead down her face, over her bare chest, and along her flat abdomen. Evan's hands spread soap across her back and white backside. This was precisely what she desired, to feel another man's touch, kisses and caresses on her body. "It feels incredible," she purred. The young doctor pressed her against the wall, lifted her right leg and began to caress it. And then they made love. Sarah woke first, finding herself nestled undressed against Pitt's solid back. "How fortunate I am," she mused. "Just one night with the man of my dreams, and I'm already attached to a man I've never experienced before." Pitt was immersed in a dream, or so he believed. Opening his eyes, he saw blonde hair cascading over his lower abdomen. After satisfying each other once more, they packed and prepared to depart. My soon-to-be ex-wife won't return until noon tomorrow. Perhaps after I settle back home and sort out some financial matters, we could rent a place in the city." "I was hoping you'd suggest that," she smiled, pressing her lips to his. "Sarah wants to know you better, but my roommate will be away for a few weeks. Why don't you come over? I don't think you want to be at home when they return." "I don't want to be a bother. Trust me, I want us to have the chance to talk more." Gathering their belongings, they set off along the winding forest road. The Saturday morning drive passed swiftly. Since she was already at Pitt's house, she didn't need to keep a close watch on him. Upon entering the garage door to the condo, he called out, "Honey, I'm home." "Let's hope she doesn't answer," Sarah said, not amused by his jest. While he tended to cutting ties with Patty, she explored the house, glimpsing their wedding photo above the fireplace and envisioning herself in the cheating wife's role. Pitt was still occupied in his home office when she entered the master bedroom and peeked into the spacious walk-in closet. Why would she risk everything for a fling with a younger man? Take what you want, Pitt murmured, moving closer behind her, his lips grazing her earlobe. I want to make love to you on the bed. Her heart raced. But I thought you weren't engaging in carnal sleeping with someone. You're right, but I want to leave her a wet gift on the bed as a welcome-home farewell. She smiled at the prospect of future encounters. Why don't you undress and get comfortable on the bed while I slip into one of these alluring negligés? It felt odd to lie on his own marital bed, awaiting not Patty, but a stunning woman to join him. Anger overshadowed the sadness of his failed marriage. Just days ago, they had discussed starting a family. He knew he needed to stay away from her until he calmed down, if that ever happened. His gaze shifted to the dressing room door, through which Sarah emerged, adorned in a nightgown identical to the one Patty had worn on their wedding night. Perfect. This time, their touches and kisses were deliberate and unhurried. Though refraining from sleeping with someone was challenging, it was crucial for him not to repeat Patty's mistakes. After they finished, a large wet spot marked the center of the bed. They remade it. Before departing, he discarded all photos of them together, along with the wedding album. Spotting her grandmother's diamond engagement ring in the nightstand, he pocketed it, leaving his own wedding band behind. He didn't leave a note, having nothing to say to the unfaithful Patty. She refused Dr. Evans' advances that night, but he persuaded her to stay until Sunday. Her mind was consumed with thoughts of marriage, revealing her lack of enjoyment and sense of obligation. Around noon on Sunday, he parked in front of her apartment. Do you see his car? She scanned the area. No, that must mean he stayed with her. Thank goodness, she sighed, taking his hand. I'm sorry for spoiling our weekend. I love my husband too much to ever repeat this mistake. I understand, and I feel the same about never straying from my wife again, he fibbed, fearing being caught. Patty refrained from kissing him goodbye, her gaze fixed on the condominium door. Well, that's that. Time to start a family and grow old with my hubby, she thought, unaware of the truth. She took her small suitcase to the laundry, intent on washing away all traces and scents of her infidelity. The basket containing Pitt's dirty clothes from his trip escaped her notice, her mind consumed with what she would say to Pittsburgh. Only upon opening the nightstand drawer did she realize the absence of her wedding ring, replaced by his. No, Sarah, you don't need to do this. I can book a hotel room for a few days. They sat together on the sofa, his left hand resting on her shoulder. She grasped his hand and leaned into his warmth. You don't have to be alone. I enjoy being with you. It's strange, but I feel like we've known each other for ages, she expressed, as he leaned in for a kiss, not of passion, but of comfort. You brought light into my darkest hour. Mike, Patty's brother, is my best friend, so who knows how long this night will last. I was thinking about the money you took for this weekend. I want you to return it, but I need to settle my debts. No matter the amount, I'll pay. You didn't have to stay, but you did, he murmured, before their moment was interrupted by the buzzing phone. She's at home, he informed. Aren't you going to answer? She asked. No, I'm done talking to her, he declared, deleting her message without reading it. Patty recognized that her only chance to salvage her marriage was through deception. She called his phone, leaving a message when he didn't pick up. Pitt, honey, I know you're upset, but Dr. Evan and I didn't go all the way. We flirted, kissed, and touched, but that's it. He wanted more, but I stopped it. I realized how foolish I was. Despite your time with an escort, I forgive you. I came home early today and found your engagement ring, along with my wedding nightgown, on the closet floor. Please tell me you didn't let that woman wear it. It's sacred to our marriage. I don't know where you are, but please come home. I love only you. Your forever wife, Patty, she pleaded, exhausted from her encounter with Evan and anxious about facing Pitt. She opted to get some rest and pulled back the covers of their marital bed. You idiot, she yelled upon spotting the sizable wet stain. Its odor overwhelmed her senses, prompting a swift retreat to the bathroom where she emptied her stomach. She had vowed to refrain from lovemaking in their shared bed, and now her carefully crafted plans lay in ruins. Seizing a blanket from the closet, she descended the stairs and settled on the sofa. Upon awakening, darkness enveloped the room, with only the porch light casting a faint glow. Checking her phone for Pitt's response, she found a message from Evan. So, did he relent or unleash hell? Should I be concerned? She pondered aloud, dialing Pitt's number with little regard for his whereabouts. He had vanished without a trace, leaving behind his wedding ring, signaling a potential storm. Damn it, Patty. We stand to lose everything, even our jobs. Is it true? Did he abandon his ring? It seems he brought Chantel here, defiled our bed, and discarded our photos, she fumed, foreseeing further retaliation from Pitt. I messaged him that we didn't go all the way, so you might want to use that lie with your wife, Evan advised before disconnecting. As Evan settled to watch his son chasing fireflies in the backyard, he reflected on his miscalculation regarding Patty's husband. He had been certain that offering a stunning escort in exchange for his wife's dalliance would sway him, but he was sorely mistaken. The following day, Patty reached out to Pitt's parents in a desperate attempt to locate him, only to find they were clueless. Frustrated, she dialed her brother Mike. Hey sis, how's it going? No, sorry, I haven't heard from him. Wait, what's happening? Click. Later, during a trip to the store, she found her credit card had been declined. It became evident that he was distancing himself and had no desire to communicate. Despite sending him 2 more text messages and leaving voicemails, she received no reply. Unable to cope, she phoned the dean of the Pitt faculty, Roger, with whom they were familiar. Roger, it's Patty. Have you spoken to Pitt? After a brief silence, Roger expressed reluctance to intrude. Patty, I don't want to intrude. What did he tell you? All I know is he's dealing with personal issues and requested time off. He assured me he's okay. Roger's tone hinted at a lack of cheerfulness. Goodbye, Patty, he said before ending the call. Wait, I have a week off to clear my head, he informed Sarah, suggesting they dine at Silver's restaurant. Concerned about being spotted together, he suggested she wear one of his wife's alluring dresses. Upon entering the restaurant, he immediately spotted one of Patty's colleagues waiting for a table. The idea of leaving crossed his mind, but instead, he decided to stir up some rumors. It wasn't until she turned around that she noticed him, and the shocked expression on her face hinted that she was aware of Patty's weekend with Dr. Evan. Oh my God. Hi, Darlene. How's it going with David? David, her husband, was not the man beside her. Well, he's in Europe for a few weeks. This is Jack. He joined our team a few months ago, around the same time as Dr. Evan. Yes, Jack grinned. We're the complete package. How do you know Darlene? Jack, our table is ready, Darlene said, leading the man by the hand. See ya, Pitt. Sarah also stumbled upon a troubling revelation. It seemed that Patty and Dr. Evil's clandestine affair had become public knowledge. Patty wept incessantly after receiving a call from her parents. Concerned, they reached out to Pitt's parents, and all 4 were anxious about the situation. Patty had to disconnect the call to numb the pain of losing her beloved. An hour later, her phone rang, and she hoped it was Pitt. It was Darlene. Patty, how was your weekend? It's awful, Dare. I tried to cancel everything, but it was too late. The closeness was good, but not as great as I expected. How's it going with Jack? Well, tonight will be the first time I'm calling because Pitt just walked into Silver's with a hot blonde on his arm. Damn, she must be the same escort we hired. He kept his wedding ring and canceled our credit cards. Why did I let Evan convince me to hire a call girl? Since he doesn't want to talk to me, I'm heading your way. I'll be there in about 15 minutes. She's staring at us, Sarah whispered, scanning her menu. She's on the phone, probably calling your wife. Don't call her my wife. My heart shattered when I read the letter she left. So, Sarah, have you met anyone interesting lately? Maybe. I'm still unsure. He seems nice, good in bed, and genuine. Well, the game isn't over yet. I'm hoping for a royal flush of hearts. She giggled, taking his large left hand in her small right one, reaching out to him. They exchanged looks with adoration just as Patty's scream cut through the air. Get away from my husband and take off my damn dress. They were both so startled that Sarah failed to notice Patty's right hand open, aiming towards her face. Fortunately, Pitt caught this in the nick of time and swiftly deflected it. He seized Patty's right wrist and twisted it behind her back. Stop this now. The entire restaurant froze, falling into silence as all eyes turned to the disturbance. Patty suddenly went limp, losing consciousness, prompting Pitt to catch her. Darlene rushed over. I'm a nurse, so please step back. And someone fetch me some water and a clean towel. A cold towel from the bar revived her. Initially disoriented, she soon recognized her surroundings upon seeing her husband. Pitt, honey, I'm here, and I have your ring in my pocket. It's all a misunderstanding. I didn't sleep with Evan, but it's okay if you were with her. She glared at Chantel. Patty, sit down and drink this, Darlene murmured, handing her friend a glass of water. She glanced around for Jack, but he seemed to have vanished. Patty took a sip of water, her gaze fixed on Pitt, who approached the escort. Let's leave, Sarah. Her name isn't Sarah, it's Chantel, and she's a damn strumpet. Patty grabbed a glass of water and lifted her hand to throw it at the beautiful woman. Pitt stepped in front of Sarah, and the partly filled glass of water struck his upper left body. Thankfully, it didn't shatter until it hit the ground. Ow! He winced, realizing the impact was forceful. He shot a look at Patty and moved away from the broken glass, leading Sarah with him. The evening manager had a smartphone recording the whole scene. Pitt recognized him. Sean, send me a copy. You have my phone number, right? Yes, I wrote it down. Should I call emergency? They're on their way, the administrator said. I dialed emergency when the woman fainted. What happened? Asked the paramedic, a pretty woman carrying her medical bag, as she approached Patty, who was seated on the floor with support from Darlene. She fainted, Darlene explained. I'm a nurse and her pulse is very high. She needs her blood pressure checked. Also, I think she injured her right elbow and head when she fell. While the female paramedic attended to Patty's vitals, her partner approached Pitt, who was in pain, attempting to move his shoulder. The bartender was clearing the broken glass. Pitt, honey, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. Let's go home and I'll make it up to you for this weekend, Patty sobbed. You've caused enough damage for today. You have until tomorrow evening to gather your things and leave the apartment. Get a lawyer because it's over between us. Sir, you need to go to the emergency room for an x-ray, the male paramedic advised. It appears you may have a cracked collarbone. Darlene called Patty's brother Mike to come and speak with her sister, who refused to go to the hospital where she worked. They both knew rumors would circulate. 10 minutes later, Mike arrived, but Pitt and Sarah had already departed. What on earth happened? Oh my God. Mike, Pitt just left for the hospital with the escort I hired. I hit him with a glass. He said not to come home. What? You're not making sense, ma'am. I see only bruises on your arm and there are no marks on your head. Are you feeling any pain? Only in my heart. I just lost the man I've loved. Pitt had his hands full dealing with Patty, who was desperately resisting divorce to pursue Sarah. After she assaulted him with a glass of water, he obtained a restraining order, which she accepted. When he threatened to expose the letters and messages implicating her and Dr. Evan in hiring an escort for him over the weekend, in exchange for their own escapades until they passed out. The infidelity charge stuck due to Pitt's evidence. Sarah refunded the cheaters for the escort services, which led the judge to deny alimony and rule in a 70-30 split in Pitt's favor. Since it was Dr. Evan's second affair, his wife got the lion's share and he got the rest. He lost his job at the hospital and ended up working night shifts at a local medical pharmacy. Predictably, Patty suffered a nervous breakdown, taking over a year to accept the end of her marriage to Pittsburgh. Whenever a man entered her room, she hoped it was Pitt coming to take her home. She started dating again, but none could fill Pitt's void. Her biggest regret was hiring an escort who later fell for him. Upon retirement, she relocated to the Villages, Florida, and became an expert in bingo. Sarah graduated with distinction from university and relocated to North Carolina to avoid the judgmental stares and derogatory remarks she encountered. Sharing an apartment with a fellow graduate, she was employed as an engineer when there came a knock on her door. Assuming it was a neighbor, she was taken aback to find Pitt standing there holding a sizable bunch of pink roses with a card addressed to her, bearing the name Sarah. It had been a year since their initial meeting, during which they had exchanged only a handful of messages. "Oh my gosh, what's happening? Why, I'm confused," exclaimed Sarah. Pitt hired a private investigator to track Sarah, and learned that she spent most of her time at work, rarely dating and quitting her escort job. He aimed to finalize his divorce before considering his future. Despite attracting many women, he couldn't shake off the memories of his troubled past with Patty. Reflecting on his moments with Sarah, he decided to take a chance. "Hi, ma'am. I'm Pitt. Pleased to meet you," he greeted with a smile that warmed her heart. Sarah played along, asking, "How do you know my name and where I live? Is this some kind of April Fool's joke?" She yearned to embrace him. Pitt explained, "I was in Kentucky and asked about a blonde named Davis. The man mentioned Samuel Davis, a retired miner, whose daughter-in-law, Sarah Sue, is a major engineer in North Carolina. I wanted to talk to your brother." Pitt chuckled. "Not exactly, but close. It's not a prank. I spoke to your father and got his blessing." Sarah's eyes teared up, her smile radiant. "Yes, my answer is yes."